The Maple Leafs are back home looking to end the Battle of Ontario in game number 5. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Terry Koshan and Lance Hornby. And guys, a tough one for the Maple Leafs. Plenty of opportunities in overtime on that power play to end it, but ultimately it's Jake Sanderson with the game winner, forcing a game 5 on Tuesday night at Scotiabank Arena. 5 points in 4 games so far for Auston Matthews, 7 so far for Mitch Marner. Terry, they haven't been bad by any means, but if the Leafs are hoping to close this out, do they need more from their dynamic duo?
Well, I suppose they need more, but just kind of keep going the way you've been going. I mean, I don't know if they're not going to find more space and that sort of thing in this tight series. I wouldn't think, especially with the way that Ottawa will come out again with their backs still to the wall. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to have this thing decided on Tuesday night at Scotiabank Arena, you'd like to think that one of 34 or 16 will have a hand in that, whether it's a goal earlier in the game or the eventual winner, whatever it might be. Um, yeah, production wise, I think they've been fine. But I think if I'm Craig Berube, my message would be to them that you all need to come with something a little bit extra on Tuesday nights, not just those two. But yeah, like I said, if they can kind of I don't know, replicate that play that they made the other night, that Marner set up Matthews in Game 3 was just ridiculous. But you know they're capable of it, and I think they've been both really solid for the Leafs in this series. But I think it's more that everybody has to find a little bit of a different gear on Tuesday night because they should have no interest in going back to Ottawa Thursday. As lovely as our national capital is, nobody from Toronto wants to be.
Well, for sure. And Terry, I have to say it. Everybody wanted more from Marner and Matthews in these playoffs. This was going to be their, all the pressure was on them. This was going to be their moment. And so far, through 4 games, it has been really. I mean, there's some extra pressure on Matthews now that he had a couple of chances, the best chances to end it. But if you were, the old saying, if you were to tell the Leafs it'd be 3-1 in the series heading home, and got the number of points that Rob has mentioned they have so far, they'd be pretty happy. And you got to look at the other stuff, like Matthews just killing it on faceoffs and takeaways and doing all the Matthews Marner type things they do away from the puck. So I'm not in the camp that they've got something else to give. They just need, like a lot of other players had. How many goodness breakaways has Nylander had, as Pontus Holmberg had? So I think they're pulling their weight so far, and especially at home with Toronto having last line change, I think there'll be a difference in Game 5.
So, of course, as you mentioned, Lance, they will have last change in game number 5, and we saw heading into game 3 and 4, Craig Berube inserted Max Pacioretty's heavier game on the road. But back home now, do we potentially see Berube make some lineup moves?
I think if Pacioretty had cashed that one chance he had in Game 4, I think we're not having this conversation. I wouldn't change it. I think Ottawa is certainly they're going to come physical again. I think, but I thought by and large they stayed on the right side of the line, knowing that so much was at stake, and therefore didn't get too wrapped up in Pacioretty. If I'm the Leafs, I would keep him and maybe not make any more changes, unless, of course, injuries. We'll find that out later today, of course. I would stick with what you have. Hopefully, you're going to emerge from a home game with a win, and then you have a few days to assess what might be down the road.
Yeah, you know what? I think one of the reasons Nick Robertson came out was a bit of the trust factor that Berube may or may not have had in him. He plays 2 games. He's at just over 10 minutes. Pacioretty almost played 3 more minutes on average in games 3 and 4 than what Robertson had in the first 2 games. So, obviously that veteran presence, there's a little more confidence I would think that Berube has in Pacioretty. For that reason, you probably don't take him out in Game 5. Like Lance said, there are a couple of opportunities there you may want to see go in, but all in all, probably Pacioretty hasn't had the rust, if you will, that we thought he might have had, not having played since the first week of February. Is he as quick as Robertson is on the forecheck? No, but he does bring more physicality, as we know, and you probably need some more of that in Game 5 to finish Ottawa. So there's something that can always pop up in practice. Like Lance says, we'll find out in a few hours here, but I would stick with the status quo going forward, because it's, the games are so tight, and the other thing is too is you don't want to leave to chance perhaps a Robertson penalty. We've seen those, get Leafs in a bit of trouble. Yeah, so don't risk it, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Having said all that, we've seen what Robertson can do when he's in, so it's not a a huge shock if he comes back in. But I would just think that Berube probably likes what Pacioretty has done, and you stick with it for Game 5.
Yeah, that's a good point, Terry. We have seen in the past, at least a few times, when Nick Robertson returns from being a healthy scratch, you can find the back of the net. So maybe there's that element. But I think, as you said, Max Pacioretty playing a more trustful game at this point for Craig Berube. We'll see what happens in game number 5 on Tuesday night. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you after game number 5.